Welcome to Wildin Out, your THL Wild podcast. My name is ItsMeMikeV. I am joined tonight by NHL NJ Fan 1 and our guest co-host, Zerotio, filling in for Memnark. How are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty good. How are you guys?
Doing
I'm
good, man.
good.
It's great. It's good.
What are you guys been playing? Anything interesting?
I've been boring in DGen. I played a bit of Reno Priest, then finished the standard climb today with Cyclone Mage, which is basically standards version of Quest Mage, and I don't know how that's
Yeah.
okay, but people say it is, so it's fine. What about you
Yeah.
guys?
It's reset time. Obviously, first of the month, so I get crazy first of the month, and I made a very unique pen flinger quest rogue, and I actually am 4-1 with it right now. Uh, I don't know how it's winning, but it's a unique take on quest rogue. I've got a few iterations. I'll share the deck list when we get to the deck list section at the end. But that's what I've been kind of mad scientisting it.
Oh, where did we just go to?
Last couple weeks I've been doing lots of aggro for THL to kind of throw people off my scent of being a combo player. So now maybe it's time to go back to combo decks. So I'm just testing those out.
Nice. Yeah, sometimes it's good to switch it up so people don't pigeonhole you as just one type of player and just hard counter you every week. But yeah, to be honest, I haven't dived into the ladder climb hard yet. I've been practicing for my THL matches. I brought Odd Paladin, Jade Druid to my wild match this week, and I was kind of playing those. I know Odd Paladin. We'll talk about it in the meta report coming up in 2 seconds. But I know Odd Paladin's been kind of picking up, so I've been playing a lot of Odd Paladin on Wild, which honestly I'm nostalgic for that deck, and the new form of it's not that different than the old form except for the secrets, so I enjoy it, but yeah.
Yeah, the secret tech was real surprising to me when I first saw the list. I think I played it in week 4 before our bye week to kind of throw a wrench in my opponent's plan. It worked out really well. The secrets, it's a good touch because it hits right at that time where you're wanting to keep a board clear from getting you. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it is. It's a strong deck. Honestly, it didn't work out this week. It's a deck I lost on. I didn't match up well with my opponent's decks. I tried to hard counter something, and they didn't bring it, and that's not good. But it's a strong deck. But all right, you guys want to talk about the meta?
Yeah, let's do it. So, there were, I believe, 38 total archetypes this week. Jade Druid in particular is a big reason for that drop. Jade Druid got nerfed. We know that. Guardian Animals builds have to change, most likely. Or not. Who knows? Can't say with internal experimentation. But Jade was being brought like by 15 to 20 people on any given week, and that number is down to 5 now.
Wow.
Just this last week, yeah. And a lot of those aren't Guardian Animals builds either. They're all over the place, really. So Jade is not looking good. Now Malygos Druid is the most popular bring, followed by Aggro. Don't be surprised if you see people taking a liking to Malygos Druid because one just recently hit rank 1 legend in DNA server by THL's very own Succulent.
Hey.
Shout out to Succulent for doing that. The other big nerf that we had was a Turtle Mage. No surprise. That's gone. Except for the poor sucker who rolled over his classes.
And he won with it. Oh. It was against our teammate So yeah,
Yeah.
and they won with it. So
Yeah.
it was a rough day. We thought we'd get an auto win there, but that just didn't happen. They got lucky with their draws, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Moving on from that. The big story is Odd Paladin. Recently, Chinese meta reports came out saying Odd Paladin was the top dog. So a bunch of players have been flocking to it, experimenting with it, trying to refine it, see how it does. And THL is no different. We see 23 Paladins, significantly more than we're used to. 22 of those being odd. Normally, Odd Paladin is about 5 or 6 brings a week. So it has just exploded in popularity. Outside of that, just taking a look at lineup stats, the most common bring the last few weeks of Druid, Mage, Priest, Warlock, the one that last week I discussed was kind of just the overall best lineup, really hasn't been doing well. It's by far one of the worst lineups to bring now, going 1-5 overall last week. Another thing of note, Mage is insane. Mage should really be considered for bans still. It's difficult because that means leaving Priest up. But it had a 72% win rate last week. And then you take a look at Paladin. Paladin is another big surprise. You have all these brings, and then it ends up going 9-16. And it's not even attracting that many bans.
Yeah. I know I contributed 3 of those Paladin losses.
So...
Yeah, Paladin in Wild is kind of in a very fluid spot right now. When it's fluid like that, it's hard to find a best Paladin deck. And a lot of people brought aggro decks, aggro lineups, and that's kind of part of the issue is you kind of put that odd Paladin in that aggro lineup, and if your aggro lineup gets countered and doesn't win, then that odd Paladin is not going to win. So
yeah.
I expect the win rate of Paladin to go up as the meta shifts some more, but with the nerfs and stuff, it's just a tough spot right now for Paladin in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other thing to add to that is we might be seeing more Murloc Paladin next week. Another member of THL, Nine Eyebrows, hit rank 1 legend. The first day of the month was his own build. So a lot of people have been experimenting with that. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
Well, a big difference with Paladin this week is you're only seeing 22 odd and 1 mech. In previous weeks, we've seen the smattering of Exodia and even Holy Wrath, and some Libram as well. And maybe those were the decks that were carrying the win rate for Paladin. I don't know.
I do remember Odd Paladin was mostly the consensus top bring for Paladin. Paladin was not a popular class. There were always a few other archetypes as well, but Odd was always the go-to if you were going to play Paladin and weren't sure what to bring. More people played it now, but it doesn't seem like it worked out this week. So I think actually, maybe for you, but I think actually what we'll see is fewer people bringing Odd Paladin next week. So
I probably.
People jump the gun. It could be suspicious builds. Could be that it was just had too much of representation. Needs to lower itself.
I would say notice and Reverb just mentioned this. Notice the drop in Kingsbane. Only 12 people brought Kingsbane. I brought Odd Paladin to counter Kingsbane Rogue, and my opponent didn't bring Kingsbane Rogue. So, it didn't work out for me. I mean, you have 22 Odd Paladins. They're not all trying to counter Kingsbane Rogue, but that's a good strategy, and you only have 12 Kingsbanes. So, you're running into brick walls sometimes with some of the more control-y decks. That could contribute to the tough win rate, or the tough tough win rate for the deck. And it's interesting to see the Kingsbane Rogue deck drop in popularity because it didn't receive a nerf, so not this week. So it's just kind of fallen off in popularity.
Could it be that since Turtle Mage is pretty much dead, they expect nobody to bring Turtle Mage, and Kingsbane actually does well against Turtle Mage?
It's actually because of the resurgence in Odd Paladin on ladder. That on top of things like
Okay.
Q block showing up more. J Druid was a big problem for Kingsbane for a while. Even though that's gone, Odd Paladin came out, so now Kingsbane is really getting hit hard. Now, Memnarch
Yeah,
mentioned. Okay, so before we continue with this, I want to mention Memnarch usually is here, but he's been having some health issues due to things going on in his area. So we figured it was just best that he takes the day off. But he is in chat still, and like he says, playing Odd Paladin a lot and being by far the hardest of aggro decks, that's also a good consideration. A lot of people
Yeah.
might just not know how to play the deck optimally yet.
Yeah, and you mentioned before that the Chinese meta, which is kind of the defining meta for Wild right now, is saying that Odd Paladin's the best. So you probably have the group of people that are saying let's play Odd Paladin. Everybody else is saying, hey, they say Odd Paladin's the best. Let me counter Odd Paladin instead of bringing it, and that might be the results from this week and why we're seeing the numbers we're seeing.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see as the meta changes next week, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Yeah.
should we move on to the conferences?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Which one do you guys want to do first?
I'll go. I'll do green.
All right. Green first, then. First up, we have Power Creeps versus Seas of Cheese.
All right. Power Creeps versus Seas of Cheese. This was an upset by probably everybody's standards except for the players on Seas of Cheese. Seas of Cheese taking it 17-11. Both Slad and Scritch having a breakout season, even though Slad lost this week. Scritch taking it over Shona Ra 3-2. Siege beating Rami, the GM 3-1. Very impressive by Siege. And both Fagoran and THL Lemur beating Memnarch and Pasca. I wish Memnarch was here. Talk about his matchup.
Here, I got this. Unlucky.
Yeah,
He high rolled. Unlucky.
High rolled, bad draws. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Unlucky. Worst draw ever. Didn't draw the 2 cards he needed until the last 2 cards in the deck. But yeah, interesting decks in this matchup. THL Lemur brought an aggro druid. Jack brought a Togwaggle druid. Seas of Cheese, really just coming back, from last season. They're doing amazing. I mean, last season they were one of the worst teams in Wild. Not trying to put them down, but they were, and they're having an amazing season. I'm really happy for them. And Siege performing really well as a sub here. But yeah, I'm really impressed by Scritch and Slad. Both
Absolutely.
joining this team this season, and both going 4-1. So awesome.
On to the
and
next.
Power Creeps coming in, as the team that everyone predicted would be number one by far. People looking at this team and saying, how are we going to compete? And they're struggling.
Yeah.
They're really struggling. Jack's 5-0. That's incredibly impressive. I have to give him credit. I shouldn't talk about this matchup without mentioning the fact that he's 5-0. But the team's definitely struggling, and they have time to turn it around. But I'm baffled by where they're at right now, because I would have never predicted this. So, yeah. All right, that's it for this matchup.
All right, on to the next. F12 Viridian versus Diamond Club.
All right. F12 Viridian beating Diamond Club 16-10. F12 Viridian beating them, but close matchup. Diamond Club actually picking up 2 wins in this one. seeing more of a variety from F12 Viridian F12 Viridian this time in decks. Usually bringing more of the same. I mean, you still brought 4 mages, 5 paladins, five priests, 3 druids, but more of a variety where you guys kind of tend to fall in line. Both Itachi and Ultimate losing to Whiskey Wolf and Troll Dan. The Rotted Zombie coming back. After starting 0-2, he's on a 3-win streak. Do you have anything to say about your match, Marty?
Um, I was very spooked because I got high rolled against his big shaman.
Gotcha.
He had turn 2 Yasiraj.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
tough.
into Colossus of the Moon.
Oof.
Yeah, so Malygos Druid is fast, but it's not as fast as that.
Yeah.
From there, Itachi had the hardest time with his big even shaman. We wanted to have some fun this week. We thought we could. It cost Itachi, but I had fun with my Mill Rogue. That's all I'm going to
Yeah.
say.
I was gonna point that out that you brought Mill Road.
Yeah, so Mill Rogue is normally a meme when you're facing aggro. But when you're facing slower decks, like what T-Rex brought, it's a force.
Yeah. True.
Like, if I were him on that side, I would have actually not banned the mage. I would have banned the rogue because it just does so well into the rest of his lineup.
True. Yeah,
So,
that makes. Yeah. The other deck of note, Yabs brought Aggro Druid. And yeah, Ultimate, Neji Boston, and you, MartyB, all having great seasons, 4-1, and Al-Anon having a tough season, 0-5. But Diamond Club, making these matches closer than they were at the beginning of the season. I hope they come back next season. I hope they don't get discouraged from this season. It's been tough for them, but I like Caesar Cheese I was just talking about. Caesar Cheese had a really tough season last season and came back, and now they're doing awesome. I hope Diamond Club does the same thing.
yeah.
So,
Just want to take the time, though, to shout out the rest of the team on F2L. They're great guys. The team's really come together. We've all been doing fantastic, helping each other out and stuff, building lineups together, and just really killing it. Couldn't be here without any of them. I know some of them had an rough early first week. Rotted took his first loss in the first week of THL, but he's really turned it around and really picked up the pace. The fact that Itachi and Rotted are 3-2 and are 4 and 5 seed, I couldn't be happier.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I said. Rotted Zombie on a 3-game win streak. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, he's really turned it around.
Yeah.
So, think that covers the Green Conference.
Yeah, that's it for green.
What are we doing next?
It's up to you guys. What do you guys want to do, blue or brown? Who wants to go next?
I can go ahead and do brown.
All right, on to the Brown Conference then. First up, we have Anoyo Team versus Board Space Invaders.
So this was a 16-1 Anoyo Team over the Board Space Invaders. It was a pretty down the rope matchup. You have Blue Sombrero 3-2 over ItsMeMikeV. I mean, very close match for you, Mike. Duin taking out Hockey Boys 3-1. Mad at Arms in a close matchup with Medusas. Medusas took that 3-2. MTG Squirrel with the sweep over Martian Boo, who's having a struggling season. And then Slight getting the 3-2 victory over FBM2. I expected the Anoyo team to actually not have as many points scored on them by Board Space Invaders. This is closer than I expected it to be, but do you have any light to shed on this, Mike, about the preparation? I see you all banned Warlock. Obviously, you came in with a plan.
Yeah, they ended up being different Warlock decks. in my situation, Blue Sombrero brought Q Block. I had, like I said, targeted Kingsbane, so I brought a lot of aggro. I brought Even Shaman. I brought Odd Paladin, and I brought Odd Warrior, which is an aggro. But his Q Block would have just wrecked me, and I ended up banning Q Block, and I ended up making a close match, but I just couldn't get the Odd Paladin through. I almost got it through on Priest and Mage, but it just didn't work out. Which
Yeah.
it was a really close match. It's tough, but
Looking
thank
at
God
these,
Brent beat the Squirrel. Go ahead.
yeah, looking at these lineups though, they all brought Warlock, but it was 3 different types of Warlock. You had 2 Cube, 2 Discard, and 1 Reno, but the only players that won were the Q Block. So maybe Board Space Invaders should have gotten on the same page and all brought Q Block, because those were the only players that ended up winning their series. So hopefully they kind of take notes. They obviously did something right, because I mean, 11-point loss is nothing to sneeze at. So maybe they can kind of clean it up and finish out the season strong, getting on the same page. Maybe trust those players that are doing really well, especially Blue Sombrero, who obviously brought Q Block for a reason and is 4-1 this season. So, yeah.
I will say, if I see Cube Warlock in my opponent's lineup, I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, it really depends on the bring. Obviously, looking at Team Manoyo team, they had lineups that I think Q Block would have been good against across the board. But again, obviously only 2 of those players capitalized on it, and the ones that brought Discard and Reno Lock, it just didn't do the job.
Oh,
yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think my teammates had better plans. I think my plan wasn't thought out well enough. I'm not going to make the same mistake. We're playing Hattleship this week, and I need to be much more prepared.
Yeah. We will be able to talk about that in a bit. Do you guys want to move on to the next matchup?
Yeah.
All right, we have Hattleship 2 BBC versus Straight Impin' Metamorphin Pimpin' Simp.
And speaking of Hattleship, they came out strong this week with a 16-7 victory over Simp. The lion's share of Simp's points come from Snake Fods over Ridiculous Hat in a 3-0 sweep. But beyond that, they only scored 3 more points, with Corbett over Skittles 3-0, Bastinked over Nefola 3-1, Bill Snyder in a 5-game series 3-2 over Succulent, and then A2 Battleship sweeping Zancat. So while Snake Fods, came out strong, not only getting 4 points but denying points from Hattleship, the rest of his team just didn't have his back. And Snake Fods is really, really doing well this season, being undefeated.
Yeah, he's doing fantastic. And other than that, though, Sims seems like they're really in a backslide. These past few matchups.
They started out pretty strong, and I don't know if it's the recent changes, if it's just ladder fatigue. We are getting kind of in that lull between set releases. I don't know. It seems like the only one that's playing consistently is Snake Fods.
Yeah, I agree. It's strange, because they did have a very strong start. I had them ranked number 1 in all of Wild at one point, and now they're almost they're third, but they're almost fourth in the Brown Conference. I mean, they've had a tough couple of weeks. It's surprising. They've had tough competition, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I expect them to at least get a wild card spot. We're getting to the point now where we can start talking about that. We're looking at the wild card slots and the playoff slots being locked up over the next couple weeks. So they're most likely going to at least make it into wild cards. So I'm not worried about that, but they need to tighten their game up, or they're not going to make it into playoffs or far in playoffs.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the competition is very stiff this season, so
Yeah.
uh, it's going to be tough.
All right. I think that covers the Brown Conference. Let's move on to the Blue.
Yep.
All right, let's do it real quick. First up, we have Bash Brothers versus Nuke the Waygate. This was really, really close, wasn't it, Zerotio?
Yeah. Yes, it was. It was real close. 1 point.
Yeah,
1
just
point.
taking a look at it, like your matchup 2-3, like that there. Just if any of these matches go one way or another, the entire thing is flipped.
Yeah, I mean, if I would have swept my match, we would have had a tie.
Yeah.
Mr. Python definitely did a good job getting his sweep over Tomato to kind of keep us, kind of neck and neck. And it literally came down to, I believe it was my match was the very last match. So I decided whether we were going to win or tie. Actually, I think at that point, the best I could do was a tie. I had to sweep Silver T-Fox Demon. So
very close, but Nuke the Waygate absolutely needed this to stay alive. They need to get some space to guarantee themselves in that wild card spot so that they could play in the wild card week. That's the only way it seems that they'll be getting into playoffs. It's going to be very difficult to get first place if they really want that. Bash Brothers are still in the race. I believe you guys are at the top right now.
Oh yeah, we're ahead by 15 points.
Yeah, you guys are chilling.
Yeah, everybody has 5 games so far except for the last place team, the Grimscale Gang, and I don't think there's any chance for them to catch us.
We will see. So, but I think that really says most of this matchup. So
yeah, Reverb definitely kind of came out strong, and I know he's been having some health issues lately, and that's not an excuse. He made sure to play his match, but he had an undefeated season up to this, so he was kind of our MVP, and Mr. Python is doing really well with the 4-1. So we got some really good players. We sometimes you just got to have the games go your way, but I will take a 12-point loss any day of the week, especially staying in first place where we are. I don't expect us to lose first place, but we still have 3 weeks left.
Yeah, we will see what happens. So yeah, Reverb taking this loss personally. I feel that. I know exactly what you mean. I've been there. So next up, we had Patches Payback versus the Cult Wild. This was a bit of a surprise. The Cult just absolutely demolishing Patches Payback here. They only won 3 games to 2, but 2 of the 3 games they won were just sweeps. And that really put them ahead, 9-15. The Cult is not done yet. They've been in last place for a while now, but this win is exactly what the doctor ordered, I think. And if they can keep this up, they could sneak into a wild card spot as well.
I agree.
The Colt Wild's a really good team. They're our tie on the season. So I mean, obviously they can bring it when they need to. And to have a sweep over the likes of Dirty Mike and Tony Montana, who I know personally, he's one of the local players in that lives near me, and he's an amazing player. But obviously, they Patches Payback weren't getting their payback this week.
Yeah, I mean, Jero's an absolute 2 great players. Finally, showing their form. I think the Colt Wild, they are a great team. I'm surprised Duo Cat's 0-5. I think they are strong, and I think that they will, continue this strong streak, and I think they will secure that wild card spot. But we'll see. It's the Blue Conference is very. We didn't. I don't know. We predicted it to be more of a blowout. I think it's more competitive than we expected. I don't know.
It'll be tough to say, but it's not over yet. So
yeah, we and not just Blue Conference, but all the conferences have kind of a unique format this season. Unlike other THL series, we're playing 2 matches versus every team in the regular season instead of 1. So you can go back to, your tape and go, hey, what happened in week 1 vice week 6 and plan. And maybe some of these teams are going back and scouting out their previous matches and learning from them, or catching weaknesses and then capitalizing it on their second match against the team. So, I mean, maybe Colt Wild saw something the first time they played Patches Payback that was a wide opening for them to go into, and sure enough, they took it this week.
Yeah, very true. Yep, and that's what we're hoping to do this week with Howlship. You know what I mean? Like, that's exactly.
Yeah. So I think that covers the last conference. So we've covered the whole week. You guys want to move on to power rankings?
Yeah.
All right. Let's take a look. So this one's going to be pretty funny. Because Memnark's not here, he kept his power rankings short and sweet, to say the least. Something. If you're not first, you're last. So from those power rankings, I take that he has power creeps at the top, and everyone else at last place, or in last place.
Makes sense.
But
sounds right.
Outside of that,
the math checks out.
It looks like we're pretty close to even like the top 4, top 5 teams, I want to say. It's looking.
Okay, so you have to explain Patches Payback above the Bash Brothers.
I have you guys at 5, first of all.
Yeah, but Patches Payback, who had a really bad week this week, and is significantly below us in the rankings, in the standings. Should they be above us?
I think lately this is like the first week they stumbled, but they were up and coming, and I had them high before.
Fair.
And seeing you guys take a loss and kind of stumbling a bit the last 2 weeks, it kind of dropped you a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit. And I think this is like a quick thing for Patches.
The last 2 weeks? We lost last week and we won the week before that, so I don't know.
I had you guys up high, and you lost this week, so I dropped it a little bit. As for the Colt Wild, the Colt did win, but I still have them low. I think they need to prove more.
Marty takes bribes for his power rankings.
I think so.
Look. All I'm going to say,
Patches Payback also lost, and we lost by 1 point. They lost by 7 points, and there's 15 points separating us between first and second. I don't know. I can't see Bash Brothers being below Patches, but that's just maybe it's me being biased because I play on Bash Bros. So
Board Space Invaders has been paying him since week 1. Don't worry.
That's why they're in 8th right now, right?
And that's very high. Yeah, for my rankings, I mean, I think after 12 Viridian, I think you guys, you're undefeated. You have 3, 4, and 1 players. I think F12 Hellship, is return to form. They had that 1 loss, and we can let that go now. I think it's time to give them the respect they deserve. I think Anoyo team, I mean, I think we're proving ourselves. We're second in Brown Conference. It's the toughest conference.
Toughest is not the word I would use. Most competitive, yes.
I think it's the toughest conference. I don't know.
If they were the toughest conference, then we wouldn't have Browns teams across the power rankings. We'd have them all at the top, wouldn't we?
Which we did for most of the season.
We did not.
We had for most of the season. We had all the Brown teams at the top half of the power rankings. This is like one of the first weeks that we've had Brown conferences Brown teams towards the bottom.
The Caverns below had a bye week, so I didn't move them.
Yeah, but Simp finally fell down below. I mean, Simp was up towards the top for most of the
Civ
season.
was up towards the top, and Board Space Invaders was in the bottom half for me.
You've had Board Space Invaders pretty high the whole
That was
season.
like 2-3 weeks ago. Last week I dropped them below in the bottom half actually.
I'll go
So,
watch videos. I'll pull up videos for
all
that.
right, do it. I dare you. All right.
Either way,
But moving on. It seems like we're still settled on like the top teams. There's one team from each conference that's just killing it right now. Then you have Seas of Cheese, who have just exceeded expectations and really become a dark horse in that sense.
yep.
A Noyo team still in the mix, near the top. This would be a playoff team if it weren't for the format being so difficult for better teams to get in. Because even though you could be winning all those weeks, it doesn't matter unless you're first place. You don't get that bye. So you still have to play into the playoffs.
Oh, we're not worried about
Yeah.
that.
I mean, if you look at standings and you talk about the most competitive conference, Brown Conference and Green Conference both have clear bottoms where you got Caverns Below at 0-4 and Diamond Club is at 0-5. But in the Blue Conference, the bottom team is 2-2. So we have the smallest point spread between first and last. So I really think Blue, while it might not have the best teams in it, obviously Hattleship sitting on top of Brown Conference and F2L Viridians clearly sitting on top of Green. Blue is very competitive. While I do believe Bash Brothers, we're kind of, sitting on top, but we, in by no stretch of imagination, have it locked up at this point. Where you could argue that Hattleship and F2L Viridian both have large enough point spread that they could say they're locked up their conferences. So I really think Blue Conference, in my opinion, is the most competitive of the three conferences because everybody in Blue Conference is chomping at the bit to try to get to that top spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's also the teams and how they played out. Like I think if you move a team like Caverns Below to Blue Conference, the Caverns Below wouldn't be 0-4. I think
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree.
I think if you moved like Board Space Invaders to Blue Conference, they would be doing a lot better. You know what I mean? They wouldn't be.
And I think that's why I say I believe Blue is the most competitive.
Yeah, exactly.
Of the three, where you have clear tops and bottoms in the other two conferences. Blue is any Grimscale gang could mathematically could still rise to the top spot.
Oh, of course. They've played
And
one
they're in
fewer
the
game
bottom.
than everyone else. They're only at the
but
bottom
you
because they played one fewer
the Colt
game.
Wild mathematically could get first place by the end of the season. You couldn't say that about Caverns Below or Diamond Club.
True. Yes. And at the beginning of the season with Brown, that's why at the beginning of the season with Brown, I think we were saying Brown looked the tough because with Caverns Below and we didn't think that they were going to be 0-4 at this point. I think we thought they were going to be a more competitive team. And, even then, Simp and Board Space Invaders aren't doing terrible. They're just, Board Space Invaders are having a tough time, but they're still, Simp still has a decent record. I mean, they're just struggling the past couple weeks. That's
okay. I want to take a look at average opponent strength real quick. And if we look at those numbers, the conference with the highest average would be Brown.
Yeah.
And I think that implies that they're the most competitive. They're the ones that are getting the most points and scrapping away with as many points as possible every week. I think that makes them the most competitive. Not necessarily the best, because it's impossible to tell who is actually in the strongest conference, given the fact that there's no inter-conference play until playoffs. But we can see here that if you're in Brown Conference, you're in for a fight every single week.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I agree. But I also believe that both Brown and Green Conference have a clear bottom that likely will stay in the bottom.
Just one team in Brown, though. I mean,
agreed.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying. I'm just
Yeah.
saying in blue, I can't say that about blue right now.
Yeah. I agree. I understand. But we'll see. We'll
We
see what
will see.
happens. All right.
So, on to predictions.
Yeah. On
Okay.
predictions.
First up, we have Bash Brothers, which we were just talking about. Oh, and look who they're playing against. Pats' Payback.
That's right. Yeah, that
All
you
right.
might. This may be a little bit of why I am so strong about the Bash Bros being below Patch's Payback in your rankings because we play them this week, and I believe we are gonna have a definitive 4-1 victory. I'm gonna go ahead and shelter the burden of taking the loss for the team again this week, like I predicted last time, and we're gonna win 4-1.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I think most of us had that as well.
Yeah, I think except for
Well, I
me.
think most of you have five. Oh yeah, 4-1, but not
I
me. I think
have
you all got me winning, but we'll see.
I have 3-2. I have Reverb, Jailstorm, and Zerotio. I have you winning, and I have Dirty Mike and Lefty picking up a win. So it looks like everyone else has a 4-1. Yeah, everyone else has a 4-1. You can just go across it. I'll just go across. Everyone picked Reverb. Um, Looks like Dirty Mike is split 2-2 with me and Marty picking Dirty Mike and Memnarch and Zerotio picking Mr. Python. Lefty versus Nubidator is also split with me and Marty picking Lefty and oh no, I'm sorry, me and Memnarch picking Lefty and Marty and Zerotio picking Illuminator. We all picked Jailstorm, and it looks like the only person who didn't pick Zerotio was Zerotio himself, picking Brushy Tuna, which is Zerotio's signature move on the show, picking against himself.
I think I won last time, and that what happened. So
Yep, that's what happened, and I understand. I understand. So
I'm very superstitious. I will never say I'm going to win.
I get it. I get it. All right. On to the next one.
Yeah. We have the Cult Wild versus the Grimscale Gang.
All right. Colt Wild versus the Grimskull Gang. Marty, you want to take this?
Yeah, sure. So, just looking at this now, we all have White the Light taking the first match. Absolute is an excellent player, but we all know how good White the Light is. After that, most of us have J Rose winning. Zerotio, you pick Yo Daddy though, so it's 3-1 J Rose it seems.
Yeah.
You also decided to pick Catharsis over Matty Ebbs like the rest of us. It looks like we went 3-1 Swashbuckler over Quaz. Memnarch taking Quaz this for the matchup. And then finally, Mike, you picked Duocat, thinking he's going to get this first win here.
Yep. I'm breaking the streak here.
I admire that. But in the meantime, the rest of us have Risa winning. And with that overall, I believe most of us have the Grimscale Gang taking this. We all do, yes.
Yeah, I've got it
So-
4-1 with only Catharsis.
Yeah.
And the reason I say Catharsis is I've played Catharsis in other series and other tournaments, and he's really good. So I expect him to have a good showing against Matty Epps.
Yeah, we will see. So, you guys want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. We have Battleship 2 BBC versus a Noyo team.
I'll take this one. All right. So Dune versus Hat. It looks like we have 3 picking Hat, 1 picking Dune. I picked Dune. Memnarch, NHL, and Zerotio picked Hat. MTG Squirrel versus Corvette. I picked MTG Squirrel. Memnarch, Marty, and Zerotio picked Corvette. Me versus Based Inc. I picked myself. I'm superstitious, and I believe I have to pick myself to win. It's some Pete Rose betting on baseball kind of stuff. And Everyone else picked Basting to win. Man at Arms versus Bill Snyder. It looks like me and Zerotio both picked Man at Arms, and Memnarch and NHL or Marty both picked Bill Snyder. And Slight versus A2, we have 3 for Slight and Zerotio picking A2. I'm not sure if A2 is. We haven't heard anything about a sub, but I'm not sure what's going on with that. Just knowing
it's very likely
from other series that A2 isn't playing in other series. He's got stuff going on, just with school, and so I don't know if he's playing in Wild or if he just wanted to take a break from other series. So we'll find out if it's going to be a sub versus Slight. But Slight's doing great. So we'll see. All right.
Yes, we will. Okay, on to the next one. We have Simp versus the Caverns Below.
All right. Zerotio, you want to take this?
Yeah, I can take this. We have in the one, we have Snake Fods. All 4 of us are saying Snake Fods over 9 eyebrows. You can't really vote against Snake Fods right now. He's having a bang-up season, undefeated. Though Simp is struggling, he's not. And then in the 2 slot, we have a unanimous Skittles over Cherub, 4-0 for all of us. We believe that Skittles is going to take that. In the 3 slot, Mike V, Marty, and myself picked Nephilah, where Memnarch believes Twos is going to take this, which is surprising. But Twos is good, so he might have a good week. And then we have everybody's going Succulent in the 4 slot, except myself. I have some history. I know Number Theory personally through other series and other communities, and I know he's very good and has a very analytical wild mind. So I think he's going to take the victory this week. And then it's a unanimous G kick in the 5 slot. We have 2 undefeated, 2 unwinning players with Zancat 0-5 and G kick 0-3. But I think G kick takes this one, and looks like everybody believes that as well.
Yeah, I think G kick will take that. We'll see, but it's always interesting to see the battle of the undefeated or the unwinning. Because
somebody's coming out on top.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's crazy. So,
all right,
on to the next one. Seas of
Marty,
Cheese.
you want to take this?
Yeah, Seas of Cheese versus Wild THL Fanatics. So, between Electric Sheep City and Slod, we are split. Memnarch and I picking Slod. You, Mike V, and Zerotio picking Electric Sheep City. For the second matchup, all but Memnarch picked Scritch. He has Draco Cat winning that. Match 3 seems like we're also off from entirely agreeing. Zerotio, you pick Sage. The rest of us have Dr. Bomb taking it. For match number 5, 3 of us picked Fake Yorin over Brian O'Brien. Zerotio, you went with Brian O'Brien instead. Once again,
yep. I got faith in Bob.
Breaking from the trend. And finally, THL Lemur versus Mike Lowe. Most of us have Mike Lowe taking it. Looking forward to seeing Mike Lowe back. I think this is going to be a good start. He's been going through a lot, but seeing him back is always a good thing. Really happy about it. Mike, I have got to say, going with Lemur over Mike Lowe, how could you?
Lemur has been on a hot streak, and I wasn't even sure if Mike Lowe was playing, so I went with Lemur.
Always go with Mike Lowe.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say. Always. So.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very, very quick. I think we can move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, final one: Power Creeps versus Diamond Club.
I'll do this one. All right, so Jack versus Whiskey Wolf. We all went Jack. Jonah Ra versus Trollan. We all picked Jonah. Rami versus Yabs. We all picked the GM. Memnarch versus T-Rex. We all picked our co-host Memnarch. And Pasca versus Alanon. We all picked Pasca. We all picked
Sweet.
Even though we all know one person from Diamond Club will win. It's just they've every week one person wins. So who will
Maybe
it
it's
be?
Alan's week finally.
Hopefully. No, nothing against Pasca, but his number's up. So not Pasca's, but Alanon. It's Alanon's numbers up. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We
But we
will
all
see.
picked the sweep. It's a numbers game, and we gotta bet on the
Yeah,
winning
we
horse.
got to pad our stats, which,
Yeah,
by the way, we
exactly.
do have. This is kind of embarrassing. So far, Mike, you've had a correct prediction. You've had a correct prediction. Okay, about 15.3 times per week. Memnarch is the highest at 17.25 correct predictions. I'm at exactly 16 correct predictions per week. This is at the midpoint, by the way. And then we
That's
get to
out,
the guest.
but that's out of what we
Out
got.
of 30. We are literally flipping coins here. But it gets
30.
worse. It gets worse. The
Okay.
guess is at 17 or 16.75 correct predictions per week. So,
Jeez.
Mike, we are worse than the guest at guessing.
I know, but I like to go for the spice picks. So
All I gotta say is we shouldn't bet on the house.
yeah, very true. True.
So
Yeah, yeah. Well, we do sometimes. I mean, there's a lot of upsets. You know what I mean? Like we
it
didn't
does
expect
happen.
season
But
B. There's a lot of upsets going on. So it's a good thing though. It keeps it interesting. We didn't expect power creeps to be having such a tough time. I mean, we were picking power creeps to sweep every time, and look at that.
yeah.
So
But yeah.
and look at
Long story
that.
short. Don't listen to us. We have no idea what we're talking about.
Exactly.
No, but listen to me because I'm the guest, right?
Yeah, but Zerotio.
Yeah. Just listen to the
Zerotio's an
guests.
expert.
They know what they're talking about, even if they don't even know what they're saying. Just ignore that. Just
Yeah.
trust them. Trust the system. Trust the guest. Anyways, we have one final thing to do, and that is the deck of the week. Zerotio, you were kind enough to come on and bring another deck for us to discuss. You want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it's Quest Rogue.
Yes.
But it's a homebrew. I've been kind of testing it out. First of the month I always goof around. I play around. I tank. I'm starting out bronze 10. Who cares? I could win. 30% and still climb the ladder. But this deck I'm 4-1 with right now. I'm not saying it's a good deck. I'm just saying that I got wins with it. It's got 2 backstabs, 2 preps, 2 brain freeze, a dragon's horde, 2 pen flingers, 2 secret passes, 2 saucy deckhand, 2 stone tusk boar, 2 caverns below, togwaggle scheme, 2 wand thief, 2 bluegill warrior, 2 eviscerate, 2 saps, 2 coerce, 2 elven minstrel, and 1 valera the hollow. You get the quest done with pen flinger, bouncing it back and forth. I've actually tried a few different versions. I tried it with recurring villain because unless you have a silence, it never dies once it's a 4/4. Its death rattle brings it back every single time, and it was good. But I took it out for some elven minstrels because I needed draw, and I'm still iterating on this. But it plays like Quest Rogue, and it has the added benefit against other aggro decks to have the pen flingers as early removal against low health minions, and then all of a sudden they're 4/4s.
Have you seen the Bloodsail Flybooter version with Shadow Step?
Yeah,
I
Jonah.
have, but this doesn't have Shadow Step or any bounce mechanics. It just uses the pen flingers.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you had seen that.
I actually get the quest done really quick. In some cases, I'm able to pen flinger, prep, pen flinger, and then play the quest.
Oh, that's pretty quick. Yeah.
So, and on turn 5, boom, I've got the quest, and now my pen flingers and all my charge minions are 4/4s at that point. So yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I have every card except for the Rogue Quest.
Funny you say that. I disenchanted that a while ago too.
Yeah, me too. I disenchanted it.
Blasphemy.
1,600 dust though.
What's really neat is if you get late game with Valera, you can pen flinger and then use the shadow to pen flinger again, play a spell, and now you have 2 pen flingers. You can start multiplying your pen flingers at that point.
Madness.
And they're 4/4, so you can play 2 pen flingers, bounce them both back, and then play one to have a 4/4, and then you have another pen flinger to make 2 pen flingers the next turn. And you constantly are having 2 pen flingers or 3 points of damage with the 3 pen flingers being played, and a 4/4 on the board they have to deal with, and more pen flingers the next turn. So it's just constant. It's endless threats.
It sounds like madness. Yeah,
it is madness. I don't recommend it as a deck, but it's fun and it's working for me.
It's great.
I'm happy you brought it on. That sounds like a lot of fun, honestly. I want to play it. I just wish I still had the quest, and I can't justify, the
quest is still good.
I can't justify buying cards or disenchanting cards to make the rogue quest. Like, I want it, but I just can't do it. It's difficult. I don't know. We'll see.
See, I don't disenchant nerf cards. I just don't do it.
Oh, I disenchant cards all the time.
Not me. I gotta have everything. I gotta be able to play with everything.
You would hate. Oh my god! I wish you watched me disenchant cards to make the new cards. You would have been in pain, Zerotio. Oh
no, I wouldn't have been in pain because it's not my collection.
That's true. But I disenchant.
You do what you want with your collection. Just don't disenchant my cards.
That's true. Yeah, it was painful. But all right, that's everything.
Believe so.
Yeah. So thank you, Marty, for OPing. Thank you, Zerotio, for co-hosting. It's awesome to have you on again. You're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. I love hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you around. Thank you to all our viewers and listeners, and that's it. Everybody have a fantastic evening.
Don't forget to use your hero power.